It was bloody, it was smutty, it was captivating and thrilling, it was dirty. This is how a MC romance book should be written. Hi wonderful people, and welcome back to my channel, Book Craze with Yourself. What's up, what's the scene? I hope you are doing well. I hope you are having a grand time reading whatever romance books that you are reading. I am here to share with you the books that I read in September. I had some really excellent reading, just saying. There were some books that was just it was really good, and then it just had some that was a total letdown, and I am here to share with you those books. I want to mention what books that I read from the 1st of September to the 30th of September. So if you want to know what books I have been reading, what books I have been loving, what books I have not been loving, series that I will no longer continue to read, then keep watching my video. Okay. So let's get started. September was a great month for me. It's my birth month. I celebrated in that month. I had fun in that month. And I also had some fantastic reads as well as some letdowns. So let us begin. If I had to choose one book that was my favorite for the entire month, it will be this book. And I'm going to start with this book, with my favorite book, and then I'm just going to randomly talk about the other books that I read in this month. But this one, oh my gosh, I loved it. I had a smile on my face from beginning to the end of this book. And it is Raj, and it is written by Esther Schmidt. This is the first book that I'm reading by this author, and I must say that I had a grand time reading this book. This is an MC romance, and this is exactly what I look for in an MC romance. It was bloody, it was smutty, it was captivating and thrilling, it was dirty. This is how a MC romance book should be written. I have read others, like I love MC romances, but some just don't do it for me. But this one, yes, this one was spectacular. It was explosive. Now in this book we meet Ramsey, and he's the new president of the 7-Night MC. And we meet Mary Beth, and she is the Italian princess. Her dad is the Italian mob boss, and unlike other mafia princes where they can't walk on dirt or where they are not involved in the mafia life, Mary Beth, she knows everything. Her dad trained her to shoot, to kill, to torture, to do everything. And that is exactly what she did throughout this book, and I loved it. She wasn't any, innocent and gentle. No. That was not Mary Beth. Mary Beth had torture skills. Put her in a room to torture someone, my girl could come up with things. At the spur of the moment, we're like, oh girl, what were you thinking? Where is your mind? But yes, so how this story begins, and let me say, it is excitement, it is action, it is adventure from the beginning. So it begins with Mary Beth and her dad being attacked by another mob boss who wants to take over like the gun trade and whatnot from her father. However, Mary Beth was able to save them. She put some bullets in them, pow, and McGill was ready to go. As I said earlier, she was trained to do this. She was not hidden or shunned from the fact that this is the life that she's living in. Fast forward a couple of years after, where she's now an adult, her father wants to force her in a marriage after her best friend was raped, and she discovers that the person who her father wants to marry her off to is the person responsible for the deed, and she's not having it. No, she's not. And she decides that, you know what? My dad don't want to listen. I'm just going to get out of here and do something about it. And in doing that, the MC attacks and she's captured. Her mom is captured, and she develops this type of frenemies relationship with the MC because there was some type of plan to turn the Italian mafia against the MC and break up that type of relationship that they had, because they had business arrangements, and then they discovered no, they're being framed and being blackmailed. And let me just say, listen, this story, it is so good. So good. One of the best MC romances that I have read this year. I loved it. There is trigger warnings, like it is gruesome, it is bloody, like really it is very graphic, but I loved it. At first, I ain't going to lie, I was a bit apprehensive when I saw Mafia Princess. I'm like, this is an MC. I don't like to cross worlds. No. I don't like to cross MC and Mafia. Everyone must just stick in their places. But the way this was done, it was beautifully written, I must say. Loved this book. In this book, you have torturing, you have kidnapping, you have revenge and vengeance, you have retributive justice. This book has it all. Another book that I read this month, and it is Tears of Salvation. So I read this in September, so it's in this month's reading list of books that I read. Tears of Salvation. Now, I was looking out for this book for a while. It is Alexi's book. I mentioned other books written by this author, and oh my gosh, I love these books written by her. So you had Tears of Betrayal, you had Ruthless Saints, you had Cruel Saints, and I mentioned all those books on my channel. I will put a link in the description box. So I finally got to read Alexi's story, and again, this one did not disappoint. Tears of Salvation. Now, Alexei is the head of the Russian mafia. He is also the best elite assassin in the world. And then you have Isabella. She is not as sweet and innocent as the other heroines mentioned in the other books. Isabella, she grew up in the underworld just like Alexei. Her mother is involved in sex slavery, so she has seen the monsters in this world, and she wants nothing to do with it. She wants nothing to do with her mother, and she decides to work against her mother to bring her down from the inside out. This book is really good. It is action from the beginning. Isabella, she's a highly skilled fighter. She was also trained as a custodian, and basically a custodian is like a protector. So she is really good. There is not a boring moment in this book. It is explosive, it is exciting, it is action-packed, it is a really good romantic suspense. It is not gruesome. There is action, but it is not gruesome. So for persons who like those romantic suspense, mafia type books, but don't like when the violence is too gruesome or just too graphic, then this is the book for you. Really enjoyed this one. Alexei, yes. Alexei is the baddest of the bad. Y'all. Okay, so in another video, I mentioned that I read Broken Bride by Stella Green. Now, it is a mafia romance, and I'm like, the way that the book ended, I'm like, ooh. So this is one of the books that I read earlier this month, so make sure and check out the link down below for the review of Broken Bride. And I read Broken Vow, that is also going to be released this month. I think it's releasing October 5th or October 6th, I'm not too sure, but yeah, so I did get an advanced reader's copy for Broken Vow. I enjoyed Broken Vow more than Broken Bride. I enjoyed book 2 more than book 1. Book 1 was good. In Broken Bride, I could not stand Dante. Like Dante, he took over from his father. His father was murdered, and this is in Broken Bride. His father was murdered. He took over the crime family and he needed to marry. So he married Frankie. Now Frankie had no idea what was happening. She was in Italy. Her father signed some type of contract. When she came back, she was forced or basically sold to Dante. You got no emotion from Dante. And in book 1, there were like maybe 3 chapters where you really got insight into Dante, and it wasn't sufficient enough for me. The story was basically told from Frankie's point of view, in my opinion. 3 chapters of Dante isn't enough. And Frankie, given what is happening to her, she tries to make the best out of it. Her father or her family owned a winery, and she went to Italy to study so that when she came back, she would take over and just, try to bring back the winery to its former glory. Dante's family also own a winery, so when she discovers that she has to marry, she doesn't have a choice. She said, she decided to use her skills and, try to merge the winery and still accomplish her overall goal, only to discover that Dante wasn't for that. The book was steamy, but there wasn't a build up to the steam and whatnot. Make sure and check out the video. So at the end of Broken Bride, it ends in a cliffhanger where Rico, her husband from Italy, shows up. You're like, okay. So we had to read Broken Vow. Frankie discovers that her family's winery was left to her and her husband. But seeing that she is married to Rico, he becomes half the owner of the winery. And Dante, he is outraged. He feels that Frankie was dishonest and wasn't upfront about the marriage and all of that, only to discover that they weren't really married. But this book was way more emotional. This book, you got more from Dante, more emotions from Dante. Like you saw where he was angry and outraged and upset and just wanted to hurt Frankie for the betrayal and the secrets and the lies that he assumed that she told. And you had Frankie just not knowing what to do because she's in love with Dante. She doesn't have feelings for Rico. It's like, this book was so juicy. This book had so much drama. Really enjoyed reading Broken Vow. But you cannot read Broken Vow without first reading Broken Bride. So you have to read Broken Bride first to get to all the juiciness. In September, I also read 2 books from the Lunchtime Chronicles, and they are like really short, steamy stories that you can definitely read during your break, your lunch break. Just don't let anyone see you reading it. Just saying, okay? I read Roasted Fire by L. Lauren, and I also read Deep Dish. These are really short, steamy stories. So these 2 books are interracial romances. In Roasted Fire, we meet Pilar and Grifton. They basically grew up together. Grifton did not come from a wealthy, influential family. It is basically like a type of small town romance. And Pilar, she is Black, and her family is well known and very influential within their small town. This is a really nice, sweet, friends to lovers romance. And in the mix of everything with Pilar and Grifton trying to build something together, you have one of her ex-friends, Sia. She is just jealous and conniving, and she has been like that since high school, teasing Grifton. But all of a sudden, he's a firefighter. He's looking so scrumptious. You want a piece of that too, and want to try to, break them up and instigate stuff and try to blackmail Pilar and Grifton. So this is a really sexy, fast-paced, funny interracial romance. And then I read Deep Dish, and in Deep Dish we had Erin and Tony, and this is a enemies to lovers. Listen, Tony, he is just a grouch. He is just a grouch. And when Erin has her first encounter with him, he just tells her off. Very poor customer service. Tony owns a pizza joint, and it so happens that Erin needs to do an internship. She was actually training to be a food health inspector. You know, things just like really worked out for both of them. However, Tony, he just came out of a bad relationship, and he was just being grouchy and had like a serious attitude problem. But with Erin, you know, things slowly changed, and both of them were very hesitant in terms of, you know, starting up something. But this was a really good, very tasty, delectable, short, sexy read. Okay, next book. I also read this month The Beauty Who Loved Him by Bethany Chris, and this is book 3 in the Beast of Moscow saga. I have been reading this series as the books were released, and I must say things are really getting interesting. This story, it is very enticing, it is very delightful, it is a romantic suspense. Yes, there's organized crime elements in this series. It is also like a mafia romance, but you don't get the whole mafia organization thing. So I'm just gonna say it is a romantic suspense, organized crime series, and we meet Vera and Vas. And Vas, he's the head of the Russian organized crime syndicate, and Vera, her father, is also a mob boss in New York. She went to Russia to pursue being a ballerina, had a very traumatic incident. No, this is from book 1, book 2. Had a very traumatic incident where she could no longer dance, and then you had Vas being plagued with health issues, and if anyone discovers that he has these issues, he becomes an easy target to take out. He's one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful man in Russia, and he's plagued with these health issues. Now, in this book, you really get to see his vulnerable side where he breaks down. He has weak moments with Vera, and Vera, she has the sweetest heart. She loves this grumpy, unemotional man. Don't know how, but she does. And Vas eventually comes out and, you know, expresses his feelings within this book. We get to meet other characters like her dad that comes in from New York. This book in general, or this series in general, it is a slow burn, and things just keep building and building on each book, and I want to know what is going to happen. I want to know if someone would discover Vas's weakness, if his mom will do something in order to get rid of him. Like, she just just saying, she's she doesn't play like a major part in the story. However, based on how things are going, Vas and Vera are going to get married, and Vas needs her so that, you know, when his ailment becomes so bad, he will have someone to take care of him. That is very selfish. Didn't say he was a nice man. I did say he was unemotional, like something wrong with him. You do get to see a little bit more of Vera's sass. She comes out and talk to him more. She's not the scaredy cat as she was in the previous 2 books. She comes out of her shell, and she isn't afraid to confront Vas and his issues and his secrets. Now, Vas is a very manipulative individual, and you don't know what he's planning to do, and that is the thing with Vas. No one knows what he's going to do until it gets done. Unfortunately, things happen. There is a cliffhanger, and that has you anticipating the release of the next book. This month I also read Saving Silva by Xavier Neal, and this is a paranormal romance. I've never read one like this. It is a dragon shifter. This story was quite intriguing in that you had sleepers and awakers. So sleepers are humans that are unaware of the magic and the other realms and the other beings within the world. And then you have those that are awake that are able to see it. Now, someone attacks C, and he seeks out help and he stumbles upon Addie. She's a vet, and so she tries to, help him and whatnot, remove some type of special bullet that prevents him from shifting into a dragon where he'll be able to heal. And it's because there's this special organization that is combining technology and magic. And to do what, I don't know. There are other parts in this book. But with Z and Ade, they embark on this adventure because Ade, she doesn't know anything about that side of the world. And Z discovers that she is his mate, his fated mate. And it is just really funny to see how he tries to adapt and just try to accommodate his fated mate and just get her accustomed to this new world and adjusting to magic and adjusting to other beings. And also you have this whole mystery of other paranormal beings disappearing. This story was really interesting. It was quite a surprise. I did not anticipate this story to have this type of mystery in it. It is funny, it's quick, and it is definitely exciting and adventurous. I can't wait to read about these brothers because they don't want to find their mate. And when a hero don't want to find his mate, how exciting that story is, because they will do all sorts of things to prevent it. So I'm really interested in reading the other books. I'm looking forward to the other books being released, and hopefully soon. Let's cross our fingers. This month I also read No Ordinary Love by Kenya Wright. This book is a Japanese mafia romance. We meet Naomi and we meet Kenji. And Kenji, he's the head of his family crime organization. However, he is basically a puppet on a string, and his father is really the puppeteer controlling everything. And Naomi, she's a writer and she wants to find out more about the underground sex scene industry in Tokyo. So she embarks on this adventure to write a book. That is her plan. She ends up meeting Kenji. Kenji is fascinated by this thick, luscious, scrumptious, dark woman, and he pursues her. Now, Naomi realizes that there's some darkness towards Kenji, but he's doing these things to an extent because he is forced to do it. He has to show his power. He has to, let persons know he is the dragon. This book, there isn't much violence or action. It's more of the relationship and the tension and the build between Kenji and Naomi. Really enjoyed this one. This story, it was unique, it was sexy, it was intriguing, and I love the dark twists and turns of this story, and we will leave it there. This month I also read Let Me Be Your Motivation by Simone. It is a Black love romance. Both characters are Black. In this book we meet Amir and Jordan. Jordan is about to get married, and on the altar someone says that they can't get married because she's already married to the groom and she's pregnant with his child. Make sure and check out the video where I talk about this book more in depth. This book was juicy because Jordan, she was like, what? Like, I'm about to marry this guy. Why did he do this to me? Why did he call off the wedding, in advance? He was playing her because his wife knew that he was planning to get married to Jordan. So she had to say what she had to say. I'm like, this man is a dog. He's a dog. He's a dog. He's a dog. And then you have Amir. He is this big time athlete, and he breaks up with his girlfriend because he realizes that she is only using him and he's just tired of it, and he just really wants a break from all this. He goes on a vacation, and Jordan decides, you know what, since her fiance did what he did, she would still go on the trip. She goes on the trip, she meets Amir, gets drunk, they hook up, and they have a fun time getting to know each other, because Amir, he's attracted to Jordan because she is not a typical girl that he would normally go for, and Jordan, she is very hesitant about, you know, going back into a relationship with someone because she was hurt, but they also both just came out of a relationship. This book was really nice. It was funny in terms of, you know, both of them getting to know each other, and it was really sweet just to see how things worked out between them. This is a very fast-paced, very sexy, very delightful, enjoyable read. And then I also read Saint by Simone. This is book 3 in the Priest series. This book was different, it was unique, and I've never read a book with a monk. This is a forbidden M&M best friend romance. In this book we meet Aiden and Elijah, and Aiden, he is a monk. He has issues with depression and anxiety. He was in a relationship with Elijah. He is quite a socialite, and he gives all of that up to become a monk. He realized that he just could not deal with particular things, and he sought religion. And then you have Elijah. Elijah just could not understand why Aiden just walked out from their relationship like they really had a good thing going. And because it's been 5 years since they spoke, Elijah wanted closure and went to visit Aiden at the monastery, only to realize that he still has strong feelings for Aiden, and Aiden realizes that he never got over Elijah, and he really does struggle with his feelings, and he's very conflicted with his passion to live according to God's words, as well as his bodily passion and feelings for his brother's best friend Elijah. So they embark on this, I would say, whirlwind romance, because after that first visit with Aiden, Elijah comes back to visit for a week and then embarks on a road trip with Aiden. This book is steamy. First of all, it is steamy. It is very emotional. You get to see their struggles and read about their struggles and understand what they're both going through, their feelings. Oh my gosh, it is just there. And I think for me, I was most captivated by the struggles and the guilt and the confusion that Aiden felt, and the anger that Elijah felt. Like, that is what captivated me in this story. Obviously, the taboo aspect and the forbidden aspect of it, you know, I'm all about that goodness. And the last book that I'm going to talk about that I read in this month is Scared by Caitlyn, and this is the third book in the Savage Fall Sinners series. Now again, I spoke about this book more in depth. It is a reverse harem, and in this series follows Sadie, Ref, Dean, and Wes. So definitely check out that video. I am not going to continue reading this series. There are, I think, 2 more books to be released in this series. For me, the series is just becoming repetitive. Like, nothing exciting has happened. There was supposed to be a war. There wasn't any war. And we're just seeing like things develop between, or change between, Sadie and her boys. But in terms of like the empty life, like, we don't get that. And if this is a MC romance, I want to read things with the MC life being like a main focal point in the series, and not just Sadie being with Wes, or being with Brett, or being with Dean, or being with all of them together, or Wes being with Dean. Like, this is my second attempt at reading a reverse harem, and I'm thinking that reverse harems are just not for me. Maybe the third time is a charm, but the story, it's just boring now. In this book, Dean discovers like his parentage, and Sadie supports him through that, but basically that's the whole story, besides Wes discovering why his dad hates Sadie's dad. But we can't have a whole story just about that, can we? There's no juiciness, there's no real plot. I lose interest, so I'm not going to continue reading this series anymore. The end. So thank you for watching my video. This is all the books that I read within the month of September. I hope some of you read these books. Some of these books were new releases that were released in September. Others are not so new, but it's all good. If you'd like me to do more videos like this in terms of like a wrap up of what I've read for a particular month, make sure and comment down below. If you have read any of these books and you did not like them, comment down below, because yeah, didn't like Scared. That was my least favorite book for this month, right? So thank you for watching my video, and look out until I post another one.